welcome back. I think I was most excited about this panel because you get to hear directly from our current students. So I'm going to send it over to Danielle Brown, who will be the moderator for this session. Take it away, Danielle.
Hi, I'm Danielle Brown. I am a sophomore at Southwestern. I'm an education major and I work for the admissions office, which is why I will be moderating this panel today. I'm involved in a few activities on campus. I am a snare drum player in the Band of Pirates, which is a little pet band that we started this year. And then I am a member of Zeta Tau Alpha as of this spring semester. And I am a member of Kappa Delta Pi, which is a National Honor Society for educators. So I'm going to go around and let the panelists introduce themselves, and then I will begin fielding questions.
Hi, I'm Bailey Barlow. I am a first year. I haven't declared my major yet, but most likely that's going to be Spanish with possibly a double major and something like poli-sci. I am in a sorority, and I'm in Alpha Phi Omega, which is a national service fraternity, and I am also the Spanish tutor.
Hi, my name is Caden. I'm a first year as well. I'm a political science and communications double major, also minoring in business. Some things that I do here at Southwestern is I also work for the admissions center. I'm one of our student admission ambassadors. I just got elected as vice president of the Student Government Association. I'm also the membership chair of the Student Philanthropy Council. I'm also part of Student Foundation, as well as the business club. And I'm also a part of the Kappa Sigma fraternity. And my hometown is Centerville, Texas. But right now I am at Southwestern because I don't have internet at my small town. So I'm sitting right outside.
Hi, so I'm Catherine, and I am a business and econ double major with a minor in philosophy, and I'm a first year. And I'm in a sorority here at Southwestern. I'm in Zeta Tau Alpha. I also am on the softball team, and then I'm from Houston, Texas.
Hi, my name is Lauren. I'm a first year biology major from San Antonio. And I'm also on Student Philanthropy Council and a member of Zeta Tau Alpha.
Sorry, I thought you guys could hear me. Hi, my name's Philip. I'm a senior from Houston, Texas. I'm a business major with an economics and Spanish minor. While at Southwestern, I've been involved in numerous clubs. I've been involved in Greek life, former student athlete, and a bunch of other things as well, like student culture clubs.
All right, so you students out there in the audience, please input any questions that you have in the Q&A button, and our current students will take it away. I guess I have one for all of you. Why did you choose Southwestern University? Lauren, why don't you start us off?
Okay. So there were a couple reasons why I chose Southwestern. First of all, the small classes and the ratio of students to teachers is really good for science majors because you're able to get that help on the topics that you don't understand as well. And there's a lot, you have good chances of doing research here. So almost every faculty I know in the science department has research, and even as a first year, you're available to apply to do that research the following year, which is something I know at bigger schools you might not get as much of an opportunity to do. Also, the financial aid at Southwestern is very fair and helpful. If you want to do an internship and other things, you can apply for financial aid. And those are two of the big reasons why I chose Southwestern.
Lauren, and we will come back to this prompt if we run out of questions, but we have a few that have come in. So the first one, I'm just going to go ahead and answer because it's a pretty simple one. It says, do you have to take a language at Southwestern? You have to have a certain number of language credits. You can test out, but generally, yes, everyone has to take a language. So the next one is, what percentage of the student body go to Greek life? So if anyone wants to. How about you, Caden? You got an answer?
Yeah, I think the number for it now is about a third of the student body is a part of Greek life. I know, like when I first got here, it was about 30%. So roughly around that, a third, 30% of student body is a part of Greek life.
All right, and our next question is, how do you feel living on campus and the Southwestern residence community has contributed to your Southwestern experience? So we're just going to go around and y'all can answer in the order that you introduced yourselves.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Southwestern requires students to live on campus for 2 years. And so I was in a dorm for this first year. I was in Maybe, which is one of our co-ed dorms. And I really liked it because I already knew my roommate. We requested each other. We went to high school together. But I got to know all of the people who are living around me. And it just creates a sense of community when you're living in the same place with people, fighting over who cleans the bathroom with people. You know, just that shared experience of living in a dorm, I think, is a significant part of the Southwestern experience.
I like love living here on campus just because like the big thing of why I chose Southwestern was the community. And one of the biggest programs that Southwestern like started this year through Mosaic was the first year experience, where they've tried to like incorporate you getting to meet people on your floor and in your building in the first year residence halls, which I just think is super fantastic and amazing. And it's helped me so much in my Southwestern experience, my first year of getting to meet different people, getting to do really cool things, but also this small campus and living on campus really helps me get to classes, know who I'm living with and make a lot of lifelong friends, but then also just, you know, it's so beautiful here that I couldn't imagine living anywhere else.
Yeah, for me, so I lived in Maybe for this first year, and I mean, I really loved it, the community aspect of Maybe with the whole having a common room, and you really get to know all the other people you live with. And then it also makes you feel like really connected to the university immediately with that first week of being a first year and getting to know all your classmates. It really helps you get connected really quickly on campus. And I thought that was really cool about being at Southwestern with their whole community aspect of the university.
So I lived in Kurth this year, which was the all-girls dorm for first years, and I really enjoyed it. And I really liked also there's Kurth and Maybe are connected through a common area that they would host a lot of Mosaic events in, and just people would be able to hang out in that little space. And I definitely liked living on campus this year because, you know, all the resources that you need are right around you, which is really helpful in the transition to college.
So for me, I lived in Reuter, which is all male residence hall on campus. I guess one of the things that I loved about my experience in Reuter was that I came in from my high school, I didn't know anybody. I wasn't exactly the most like talkative person. You wouldn't get that if you knew me now because I can't shut up. But I think living in Reuter definitely helped me gain a sense of community in that there were multiple other people on my floor who came to Southwestern similar to me, didn't know anybody. So just being able to find someone who you're able to bond with, it made it that much easier to transition.
Okay, the next question, and a few of these are just pretty simple answers. So if y'all have anything to add and jump in, feel free, but I'm just gonna go ahead and give little short answers for them. So This one's, do y'all accept dual credit classes? And yes, Southwestern accepts a majority of dual credit classes, but I would make sure and, check catalogs and see what lines up, because not every class will transfer. And then this one I'm going to field to y'all, and we'll go ahead and do reverse order this time. It says, I notice many students have double majors or a major and a minor. Did you all pick them just because of your interest in those subjects, or do you have a career in mind where you would need those multiple majors and minors?
Double majoring and minor, it is pretty common at Southwestern, I would say. I picked I'm a business major in Spanish and economics double minor. The reason I picked that is because for me, what I want to do, I want to go to law school after I graduate. That's been one of my career goals. And I figured those two, business and economics, would give me a distinct advantage as opposed to going to the normal poli-sci route. And then I love Spanish. I've taught myself since I was about 8, and I figured now is probably a good time to actually formally learn the language. And that's what brought me to taking Spanish.
So I personally don't have a double major. As a first year, I only have my intended major of biology, but I do know several people who have that double major. One might be their career goal, and the other might be something that they're really interested in. And at Southwestern, they're able to do both, which is why they have the double major.
Yeah, for me, being a double major in business and economics, it was really kind of about what I was interested in, but also like a career path that I want to go on. So I also want to go to law school, but I want to do like contract law and the business route of it. So that's why I picked business. And then the economics is, ever since I took econ in high school, I fell in love with it, and turns out I'm pretty good at it too. So that's kind of why I chose econ too. And then the philosophy minor is just, that's going to help me with law school and thinking. And I also find that really interesting to learn about.
One of the great things about like Southwestern's curriculum with Paideia is that it makes it very easy for students to double major or have several minors. For me personally, it was I'm interested in several different things, and I took a communications class and I really liked it. And so I said, I can just add that onto my poli-sci major, because with Paideia, having all your different classes connect, and with the structure of Southwestern's a third curriculum, it makes it easy to do all of that, because all your classes end up connecting. You take classes in various areas, and then you get to explore those interests.
Yeah, like Kaden was saying, Southwestern's Gen Ed is cool because it's not like you must take English 104. You just have to take classes in specific categories like the sciences or the humanities. And so that means that you get a chance to try all sorts of different things, which really gives you a chance to find out what you enjoy. And chances are that's not going to fit into just one major. But the flexibility of the curriculum and the requirements makes it easy to double major, double minor. My current plan, which I probably wouldn't recommend to anybody, is to have 2 majors and 2 minors, because I was talked out of triple majoring. But for me, that's because I'm undecided for major, for career. I get the chance to explore all sorts of different things, and I just keep adding majors because I keep finding things I'm interested in.
All right, this question is, has anyone lived in both Mabee and Brown County? And if so, which do you like better? So if y'all can attest to which one you think is better, feel free to go for it.
I actually, I got moved to live in Mabee for 2 weeks because of like a little situation I had. So I kind of have lived in both. What I can tell you is it depends on what you're looking for. Because maybe they have common rooms in those Mabee rooms, which is like really nice if you want to like watch TV till 2 a.m. and not have to worry about bothering your roommates, but also have that other space to study. The rooms in Brown County are a little bit bigger though, and are a little bit newer. So if you like don't care about having a common room, like really that's the biggest thing, that may be common room. But also what I found with my, like the first year class was like in Maybe itself, there was like a bigger community of people that like were out of their rooms, hanging out in the hallways, hanging out in those study rooms, hanging out in those big common spaces than there were in Brown Cody.
Thank you, Caden. All right, and this one, we're gonna go ahead and go, as you introduce yourselves, and it's, what's a typical Friday or Saturday night like on campus?
Well, there are often campus-sponsored events on Friday nights, sometimes, or every week, actually. Every week, the university will bring in bands or comedians or watch a movie or something like that, just some form of entertainment that is totally free to all Southwestern students. And so that's one option. I guess I don't need to go into too much depth because we all have to have something to say. So that I'm sort of involved with the University Programming Council, which is what puts on those Friday Night Live events. And it's just neat having free entertainment every Friday if you choose to go.
And once a month, there's also Cinematic Saturday. So in Saturday nights, you can go into the Cove and watch movies with other people. But then also on the flip side of that, there are social events that are thrown, like college parties on campus. And like, I can't tell you specifically when they happen because they just get planned like a week before they happen, and then everyone knows. And so there's college parties that happen, as well as like Friday Night Live events. And then Saturdays, there's Cinematic Saturdays, as well as all the events that the Georgetown community throws on that happen around in the square and even in Austin itself.
Yeah, just like Caden said, there are like college parties that happen, but also Georgetown's a really cool town and they have a lot of activities you can go to throughout the year. And just like Georgetown has a movie theater, there's Georgetown Lake and all the other fun stuff. And then Austin is so close that if you know people that go to UT, you can go hang out with them and stuff. And it's not too bad of a distance to go to see other things and do more city-like activities.
Yeah, there's a bunch of options for things to do, whether it's school sponsored or not, or you could just stay in or you could study. It's, everything changes every weekend. Not everybody always goes out, and, nobody really judges what someone chooses to participate in or not, so.
In addition to like the Friday Night Live series, as well as Cinematic Saturdays, almost every Friday there's probably a home sporting event, especially all throughout the falls. There's either men and women's soccer. Saturday we have football. We also have volleyball. That can be Friday, Saturday, I think sometimes Thursdays. And it's the same in the spring. There's a bunch of different sporting events. So there's definitely, just because it's a small school, don't get the idea that there's nothing to do. There's always something going on at Southwestern. And on the off chance that there's not, 9 times out of 10 will find 10 other people who want to do something. So it works out well.
Yeah, one of the beauties of Southwestern is you really get to do what you want with it. So your Friday or Saturday could look like pretty much whatever you want it to. So our next question, if you don't have a car, feel free to answer this one. It says, would you need a car to get around Georgetown? Does everyone have a car?
Well, I actually didn't bring a car my first year. And I found that it was a little bit restricting because while there are a lot of things to do on campus, you kind of need a change of scenery every now and then, but you get to know a lot of people, and in that, like, other people have cars and you'll make friends, and those friends will be able to take you where you need to go, and nothing's too far, so it's not very inconvenient, at least I found.
It's not too bad of a walk to downtown Georgetown. I mean, as long as it's not like 175 degrees out or something, but that is a reasonable walk. if you wanted to go downtown and didn't have a car. And yeah, like Lauren was saying, you can definitely get a ride from people. All of last semester, I gave rides to a friend of mine to church lunch every week because he didn't have a car. So it is restricting, but it makes it, well, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, yes. So church lunch is one of the really great things about the Georgetown community. So about 15 minutes, 10 minutes away from Southwestern, there's a church. And every Monday, they provide a free lunch to the whole Southwestern community. One of the ladies told me one week that they feed about 700 people every week. And they're just really nice. They make great food. It's just a wonderful community event.
For getting around to Georgetown, I don't know, Lauren, if you did this, but in the Georgetown area, we have the GoGeo bus system. And being a Southwestern student means that you can use that GoGeo bus system for free. And so you can use that bus system to get to the HEB, which is right next to campus, but also get to other places on campus. I brought my car to school, so I didn't like have the problem of like not having that vehicle, but I do know we have that system. And also the city of Georgetown itself, this whole last semester has been working on a sidewalk that goes all the way from Southwestern to the town square to make a safe place for students to walk from Southwestern to the town square, which is like 3 blocks.
We also have pirate bikes. So in the event that you don't have your car, if you want to make the fun ride from Southwestern to HEB on a pirate bike, you can. Actually, I take that back. No, you can't. Those are supposed to stay on campus.
Your pirate bike's off campus.
Pirate bikes are supposed to stay on campus. I apologize. I didn't say that. But going back to the original question, I didn't have my car my first year. And yeah, it is like restricting, obviously, because you can't do what you want when you want sometimes. But at the same time, my roommate did have his car. So Sundays we went to go get groceries together. And it's just another way we got closer and bonded because I saw some weird food choices that he made. I still don't get it.
Okay, our next question is, what is your favorite thing in Georgetown?
So Bailey kind of talked about this already, because if it has to do with food, it's probably going to be my favorite thing. Church lunch, that is absolutely my favorite thing to do every single week because it's a free meal that I get every Monday from Crestview Baptist Church, and I literally don't have to do anything to get that free meal except show up to Crestview Baptist Church from 11 to 2 every single Monday. And right now, while we're in quarantine, I am missing church lunch so much because I can't see their faces and get those banana pudding cups.
Lauren, if you want to go ahead and give an answer.
Probably my favorite thing in Georgetown. I feel like I have a lot of favorite things. I really like the town square, especially at Christmas or around the holidays. It was really pretty. It was all decorated. I think it's the most beautiful town square in Texas. So it's something that you definitely need to experience. That was definitely and I also really like the coffee shops in the town square. There's a lot of cool little coffee shops.
There's a good bakery off the square too. That they make really good sticky buns. They're kind of expensive and also not very good for you, so I try not to eat too many. But there's lots of good places where you can get coffee or lunch or whatever kind of food you want. Not very far from campus.
One of my favorite things about Georgetown is we have this little watering hole. It's about 5-10 minute walk from campus called Blue Hole. Any given Saturday, you could go out there and you could see like the majority of your fellow classmates. It's really cool. There's a cliff diving spot, although not really 100% sure we're supposed to be doing that. There's hiking trails. People bring their dogs out, kayak, fish. It's just like a really cool spot to kind of just hang out and unwind, do some homework, relax with your friends on the weekends or even weekdays.
And then my favorite place in Georgetown is definitely 309 Coffee. And you can find me there about like 5 out of the 7 days of the week. I'm there a lot. I do homework with like sorority sisters. We gather there and have like study dates and stuff. But I mean, it's just a cool small town coffee shop, and its food, its snacks and stuff are really great. And it's just a great place to go study and hang out with friends.
And I'm going to go ahead and chime in with my favorite thing, which is 600 Degrees Pizza. Best pizza I've ever had. My friends and I will all get together at the beginning and the end of the semester and have what we call like our little family dinners. It's a great place, and you can get like a gigantic slice of pizza for $4. So it's pretty nice. Okay, moving on to our next question. Are most students religious or Methodist? Do you know the percentage? I don't have the answer to this one, so if you do have the answer, please feel free to weigh in. Does anyone know a percentage on that?
It's pretty low, I would think, or Methodist-wise at least. Not like a majority of students are Methodist or anything like that. I'm not sure I've ever heard a statistic.
I will say one good thing about Southwestern is regardless of your religion, regardless of whether or not you practice religion, everybody's pretty accepting of everybody else. So if you're not Methodist, if you're not Christian, it really doesn't matter. You're still going to find your place here anyway. So, all right, our next one is there any Southwestern sponsored transportation from the Austin airport to campus, or what is the typical way to travel from airport to campus? Does anyone have experience on this one?
So I know one of my friends who is a sophomore. Her name is Aiden. We kind of talked about this. She says that she takes a bus from Georgetown to get to Austin. I don't know what the name of it. She said something like Go Geo, like it's still that same Go Geo system. But to go to Austin though, they had to like charge her, and it was less than $5 for her to get to the Austin area on that bus system. Now, in terms of like traveling to the airport, I know especially during like spring break, the end of semester, on the SU app, we have ride sharing. And I know sometimes there's students that you can ask people if they're like going to the airport and just like ride share with them and catch the ride to the airport, or just like say, I want to go to Austin and see who else is going to Austin, and maybe through that ride share part of the SU app, get a ride with a fellow Southwestern student.
All right, our next question, this one, it's how many hours do you study per week on average? This one pretty much varies depending on who you are. I, being an education major, do not study. I'm actually really good at writing, 5 to 7 page papers, but you ask me to study for an exam and I am not gonna know what to do. So it really just depends on your major and what that calls for. And then this one is for the people in sororities. Do you feel that there's a disadvantage to not having a house, and have any of the sororities talked about getting one? Addressing the second part of that question, we cannot get houses because Georgetown has a brothel law, meaning that any women that are not related, more than 7 women living under one roof without a man that don't share the last name, is considered a brothel. So that's also why our Kurth dormitory is connected, or residence hall is connected to Maybe, because Kurth cannot stand alone. So if Lauren, Catherine, and Bailey, if y'all wanted to speak to how you feel about not having a house on campus, for me personally, I don't mind, just because my dues are a lot less. So I'll take it away.
Yeah, I always thought that the brothel law was apocryphal. I don't know if that's true. It might be, but I mean, I don't think it's that bad not having a house on campus, because as you said, dues are much lower. They're like, I don't know, way less than half of what they might be at a big school with a house. And I mean, I don't know. On one hand, you don't get the chance to live with sorority sisters, but at the same time, I think that Southwestern's a small enough community. It's not like you're going to be living with strangers, even if you're not in a sorority house. So for me, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, personally, I think it's really nice that there's no house because the dues are a lot lower, so it's a lot easier to be in a sorority and stay in the sorority. It's not as much of a financial burden. And, you know, the sororities on campus, they find other ways to have sisterhood and bond and all that stuff without having to live together. And so personally for me, I don't really think that the houses were missing out on much. But
Yeah, and for me, I don't really mind it that much because the dues are lower, and so that helps. But also, I think it forces us to like find other ways to hang out with each other because I feel like if there were a house, we'd always be the people living in the house would always be around each other. And I think it's a good way for us to stay connected because we don't have that living situation connected. So, yeah.
All right, and our next question is how many sororities and fraternities are there? And I don't want to leave anybody out, so if I do, please, jump in and stop me. But we have 4 fraternities, 4 sororities that are part of the National Panhellenic Council, and then we have 2 sororities. We have AKA and Katie Kai, which are they're not part of National Panhellenic, but they are recognized sororities here on campus. Are there any fraternities I'm leaving out, or do we just have the 4? Okay, great.
Other than that, there's APO.
Oh, yes, APO. Thank you. All right. And then this question, which was asked a while ago, it says, what do you mean by, and then in quotations, a third, a third, a third? So I don't quite understand what that's referencing, but yeah, if you want to go.
Yeah, that's something that I said and when I was talking about it. But what I meant by that was how easy it is to like do double majors is because Southwestern's curriculum it's a third electives, a third your major, and then a third the general exploration classes. And so the way that it's structured is it makes it very easy for like me personally with 2 majors, that elective portion becomes my second major. So it makes it easy for me to do all that. So that's what I meant by a third, a third, a third.
Thank you, Caden. And now that is it for the questions that we have here in the Q&A box. So if we want to go back to the question that was posed at the beginning, which is why you chose Southwestern, Lauren answered. So we'll go over to Caden and then go from there.
So the big reason that I chose Southwestern University was the community. I wanted to go to a school where I could be somebody rather than be one of 67,000 people. Like Lauren was talking about, the small classes is a big thing for me because, within the first month, if I don't already know who I'm taking classes with, I'll already know who my peers are after that first month is over with. And then I get to like have a close personal relationship with each professor that I have because I'm not just like number 1 of 400. They like know me. And it's just like here, like every single day that I've been here, my first year of Southwestern, it's been a community and it's like literally been my home. That's why I'm too stubborn to leave during this quarantine.
For me, it was a little bit of sports, but also the community aspect also. So Southwestern gave me the opportunity to get a very high level education while also continuing to play softball, which is really cool. And at a Division III school, I really believe that the student athlete, that order stays the same, whereas to some Division I schools, your athlete first and student second. So that's really what it was for me, is getting a really, really good education at a school that I felt like home, while also getting to play the sport that I love for another 4 years.
Oh, this is my turn. But I came to Southwestern. Originally, one of the big things for me, I grew up my whole life playing soccer. And I wanted to continue doing that for another 4 years. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. I only played 2.5. But Um, when I first started looking for colleges, one of my biggest things was I wanted to play soccer, and that was it. But as I further got into the college search process, I realized there's so much more that you should consider. For example, like class sizes, whether they have your major, whether or not you like the town in, whether or not you like the town that the school is in. And for me, I found I didn't really start to come to terms with those criteria literally like the week up until my official visit at Southwestern. So I had all these new ideas on what I should be looking at for a college, and luckily I found them all at Southwestern. The small class sizes was perfect for me because I could form those personal connections with my professors as well as my fellow classmates, as well as continue to play soccer. Just because a lot of people think just because it's like D3, it's not competitive. That's totally not true. D3 is very competitive. I'm probably the most competitive person you'll ever meet, so I can attest to that. But yeah.
For me, it was a combination of two things. I've already talked about the flexibility of the curriculum and the ability to try new things and figure out what I like and what I want to do, 3 years from now. And then the other thing for me is the community. Just basically from the moment I set foot on Southwestern's campus, I felt like it was a place where I could belong, because everyone just wants to help you and will go out of their way to help you. And you feel like you know people, just walking around campus, I'll see my professors and say hi to them. Sometimes even professors who I've met a couple times, but I haven't ever actually taken classes with. And, you see people at church lunch, or, you walk into your classroom on the first day of class and you're like, oh yeah, I know you had class. The ability to have one-on-one attention with the professor, like my French class is 8 people. That's obviously my smallest class, but the biggest classes here are like 30 people. So it's easy to know all of your classmates, know your professor, and just feel like you're a part of it.
Does anyone else want to answer why they chose Southwestern? Okay, so we did have a question about the largest class that you have been in. Can any, we'll start with Caden and then we'll go around that way.
So my first semester, I was part of this class called Texas Our Texas, taught by Dr. Long. And I walked in class the first day and he said, we're shooting to have the largest class at Southwestern this semester. And there were 36 people in that class. But then I left like after that week because I realized that the class really wasn't for me. So that should give you an idea of largest class size. That first semester for me, my largest class was 28 people. And then this semester was 25.
I think the largest class that I had last semester, it was Gen Chem, so it's, an introductory level class. I believe we had 39 or 40 students, like the max cutoff or whatever it was, but I think we were almost at 40, but that was like the most they could have.
Yeah, there aren't even any like big lecture halls at Southwestern. If you wanted to fit 300 students, you'd have a hard time even finding a space to meet. It's just not possible, and I think that's a good thing because it keeps classes small. Definitely no bigger than 50, probably even smaller.
I think for me, the largest class size I've had was like 30, I'll say like 35, 36. It was Foundations of Business, which is like an introduction to business class. That being said, I have heard, I think it was my first year, like my first semester maybe, I can't remember. But one of my friends had like an introduction kinesiology class, and their class was like 57, and that's the most I think I've ever heard of a Southwestern class. So you're very rarely gonna, if you get a class size above 32, I'd be pretty surprised, honestly.
Yeah, and my largest class was right around 30, and it was last semester in an intro course to intro to economics. And by the time people decided to drop, so it probably finished around 27 students. So it's not too bad.
My largest class was 30 people. It was School Society and Diversity, which is a required course for education majors, but also an elective that codes as a social justice class. And then my smallest class size, which was major specific, was 7 students, I think, and that was my first year here. So it can get pretty small. Our next question is, what do you dislike most about Southwestern, and what would you change? And I'm going to go ahead and start. Laundry. I don't want to pay for laundry. It is $1.25 to wash. It is $1.25 to dry, and I will run this issue into the ground. But other than that, I love Southwestern.
I'd have to agree with you on that one. Sorry, Bailey. But the laundry and the ratio of washers and dryers per students in one living area is kind of skewed. But other than that, I mean, Southwestern's great. Obviously, I chose to go to school there, so there wasn't too many negatives on my list. But after living on campus, I would say the laundry is probably the biggest issue.
I think it's a bit of a pain sometimes, depending on the time of day and what day of the week it is. It's kind of a toss-up about how close to where you need to be you're going to get to park. So that's something that has been a persistent frustration.
Yeah, definitely for me would be parking too, because just, not that parking is really bad because there's a lot of space. Just like if I don't get a spot right next to the building that I want, it's kind of irritating. But here at Southwestern, like the longest walk you ever have to make is like 10 minutes. And that's from the admission center all the way to the football field house, which I highly doubt you'll make that walk like all the time. Just sometimes parking, just because I'm so used to the luxury of being so close to everything
So as someone who didn't have a car their first year, I sometimes wish there were more dining options. There is the Commons and there is the Cove where you can get things to go like burgers and stuff, but there's not really a huge variety of things. So sometimes, when you don't have a car and you can't go get other options, that's a little, it's just something that would be nice, but it's something you kind of notice.
I think for me, the one thing that kind of gives me a headache at Southwestern is I'm a pretty big night owl. I'm constantly up past 3 in the morning doing homework. And that's really when I wish there was food open, because the Cove closes at 1, which is convenient. But after that, you're kind of on your own. And I will be honest, I've lived in Texas my whole life. I'm not that big of a fan of Whataburger, so I don't like driving over there at 3 in the morning. But yeah.
There's Kirby Lane. I've studied at Kirby Lane at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, there's Kirby Lane. That's true.
You don't even have to make your own coffee.
All right. And then this one, feel free to just nod or shake your head and then jump in if you have like a really funny story to go with it. But this one is, have any of you given offerings to monstrance before finals? I did it once. I'm not incredibly superstitious, so I don't do it a lot, but I do see tons of food out there all the time before finals. So if no one has a story on that, we're going to go to the next question, which is, what is your favorite class that you've taken at Southwestern? Mine personally is, I'd have to say the class where I had 7 people. It's called Child in the Curriculum, and it's basically all about how to teach pre-K age students, like early childhood age. And so really the class, we just got to play with a lot of stuff that you would do with pre-K age children. So basically it felt more like I was playing than actually taking a class. So I really enjoyed that one.
For me, my favorite class is actually a class I'm in now called Customer Relationship Management. It's with this wonderful, wonderful professor named Dr. Sihi. If you are a business student, I highly, highly advise that you reach out to Dr. Sihi, because regardless of your relationship with her, she will treat you like you are her own child. Um, she'll fight for you tooth and nail no matter what. I love that woman. But it kind of like piqued my interest in the whole forming business relationships. And I think that's why it's one of my favorite classes.
Yeah, after meeting me twice, Dr. Sihi would say hi to me whenever she saw me. She's wonderful. I think my favorite class would be probably my FYS, my first year seminar, which is a required class for all first years that it lasts half the semester, and it's about all sorts of different things. The subjects are all over the place, from chocolate to pirates to, mine was called Healing Women. So it was at its heart, it was a religion class because it was taught by a religion professor, but it was about like healing and spirituality, what it means to heal and be healed, all looked at from a like feminist lens. And it wasn't a class I expected to like, which is part of why I liked it so much, actually, is because it was outside of my comfort zone. But it was taught really well, very interesting, and I enjoyed it.
My favorite class that I've taken is one that I'm taking right now. It's called Candidates, Campaigns, and Citizens. And basically the class is only offered like right before a major election. So there's one offered in the fall, and then it won't happen until, 4 years from now. And we basically track the national election, the presidential election, and like try to like learn about like how candidates campaign, what you have to do to get elected. And right now we're tracking the 2020 election. And it's been so great because our professor has like adapted the class to this coronavirus going on. And so she's like, so what's going to happen to the 2020 election now that coronavirus is going on, and what are candidates going to have to do? And one of the cool things that also happened in that class is during that semester, Super Tuesday happened in Texas, and we had a polling location on Southwestern's campus. And so our class for the day was to spend like an hour with our professor at the polling location, just helping people vote at Southwestern University. And so it was really great because we like learned stuff while also applied those skills and knowledge in our daily lives.
Sorry, really quickly, going back to Dr. Sihi, she likes to give presents a lot, and she actually gave me this. It's my furry, and it makes like a scary little face. But yeah.
So my favorite class that I've taken so far is probably one that I'm taking this semester. It's Intro to Genetics. It's half the semester is with Dr. Taub, and it's learning about like genetics on a bigger scale. And the second half is with Dr. Todd, who is like the sweetest lady ever, with this really soothing British accent. And it's a really interesting class, and it's set up really nicely, but that's my favorite so far.
My favorite so far was a class I took last semester called What is Philosophy? And part of the reason I liked it so much is because I really, really enjoyed the professor, Dr. Howard. And she was a newer professor to Southwestern, so I kind of felt more welcomed in the class because it was her kind of first experience, but it's also was my first experience introduced to philosophy and the way those classes run. So I thought that was nice.
Okay, and we are getting close on time here, so I'm just going to speed through the last few and combine a couple, and then these will be our last questions. So this first one, it says it isn't a question, but more of a comment. It's great that y'all started a pet band. Thank you. Please join it. We do have drums. We have a few available instruments, but pretty much it is provide your own instrument right now. We're trying to gain funds so that we can buy them. But please join. We have like 8 people, and I don't want it to die, so please. And then, so I'm going to combine a couple of these questions. It says, what are some of the first year seminars at Southwestern? And then can y'all speak more to your FYS and what did you take and did you like it? So we'll go to that. The first year seminar subjects really change every year. A few stay the same, but you get a choice depending on your residence hall. And then this one's does SU emphasize writing papers? I think that one just is term like that depends on your area, your major. I have friends that have pretty much never written longer than a 2-page paper, whereas I'm like used to writing 10-page papers. So, all right, we're gonna do the first year seminars. Oh, thank you, Bailey. First year seminars are not connected to the residence halls anymore. I didn't know that. Perfect. All right, we're gonna start with Caden for this one.
All I know is that there was my first year seminar, which was called Culture Shock. And then there is the most popular, I think, FYS, which is the chocolate FYS. If anyone took that, they can talk about it. I don't know much about it. I loved my FYS because I had Dr. Ross and it was great. And Culture Shock really like opened my eyes to like so many different cultures around the world. I come from a really small town, so my view of the world is very different from like other people's. But what I do recommend for FYS, just choose something that you find interesting. I chose classes that like were towards my major rather than what I found interesting. And what I like noticed is other people, when they choose something just sounds interesting, they tend to like those FYSs more.
My FYS was called Roots and Branches, and like originally when the course started, we were supposed to be talking and researching something else, and it completely flipped while we were taking the course because Dr. Robertson, he is kind of a professor that's all over the place, which is fine, but it ended up being a course about researching your own family history, which I thought was ended up being really interesting, and it was really laid back and fun just to get to know how the Southwestern courses work.
So the FYS that I took was 9/11 terrorism and response. And it was taught by this sweet old man, Bob Snyder, who's in charge of political science, I believe, at Southwestern. He's been here a long time and taught this FYS a lot of times. Sorry about that. And I really enjoyed that class because all of my other classes are these science-based courses where we just write lab reports and, do textbook reading. But this class really helped me because we had to read a couple of novels and write about current events. And I thought it was a really interesting class that I didn't initially think that I would enjoy, but I ended up finding it really interesting and liking it a lot.
Yeah, I kind of talked about mine already, but I got the chance to do one of my favorite research projects so far, which was about the connection between witch trials and the fairy tale figure of Baba Yaga, who is a Russian fairy tale witch. A lot of fun. My roommate also had an FYS that was called, what was it called? Inside Out, which was like just looking at, I'm not quite sure. It was connected with the human body. Over the summer, she read a book about evolution and things like that. And so that was very different from mine. So there are a lot of different FYS experiences.
So my FYS, I honestly don't know if they still offer it anymore, but it was Animation Salvation. And literally what we did was I'd show up to class, I'd sit down and we watch an episode of South Park, Family Guy, The Simpsons, whatever was going on that day. And we literally discuss it for like an hour and a half. We go really into depth into it too. There was one Simpsons episode. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I just remember the discussion leading to basically like the question of what is life, what are our purposes, and we have to write research papers on it. We'd have to try every year. You have to try and interview the writers or the creators. Obviously, that's easier said than done, so almost nobody got it. But it was just like a really cool experience that I didn't think. I kind of took the class because like it was the last choice because I registered late. And I was like, yeah, this seems kind of cool. I'll do it. But I ended up loving it. I think it was probably one of my favorite classes I've taken at Southwestern.
I would definitely say that my FYS is one of my favorites. I took Fixing the Broken Mind with Dr. Brian Neighbors, and it was about mental illnesses and the treatment of them. And I'm incredibly interested in psychology, so that was a really nice path to get to take my first time here. And at the time, we had to write like one paper every night for homework, pretty much. I thought I was going to die, right? I would like to go back there. That was nice. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. Dr. Neighbors is so great. And that's when I kind of realized that the beauty of Southwestern is like, I've heard this from a lot of people, so like I promise I'm not strange, but you get these weird, like almost parental vibes from some of the professors. And so I definitely have a few professor dads and professor moms on campus. They don't know that I call them that, but I definitely have them. And I would say Dr. Neighbors was one of those for me. So.
Dr. Seehee.
Well, that's going to lead into me. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you to all of our students. We appreciate all of your insight and all of the stories about your experiences at Southwestern, especially during this difficult time when you admitted students cannot get to campus. And so just thank you all. It really means a lot to us. Ironically, Dr. Seehee will be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So if you would like to come and witness what they are talking about, she will be here at 3 o'clock along with Scott McLean from our kinesiology department. After that, we will have our student resources panel. We will talk about retention. We will talk about the Career Center, and they help with internships. So the CCPD, as everybody has been talking about. And then we also have our health services department that will be represented, at 4 o'clock, followed by another student panel with different students this time. So thank you so much. We are so happy that you joined us, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great evening.